Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. So Saturday, I got a busy day. Heading out soon to go see another horror movie, The Watchers, in theater. Happy Father's Day to anybody who's out there who's a father. I just watched 2 more episodes of Ken Goldin's Netflix show, The King of Collectibles, and I wanted to do a quick review. I've watched 6 of the episodes so far, and I feel like that's enough to say whether I like it or not. I'll finish the next 2 episodes in the next day or so, and then I will finish the review in my newsletter, which you can subscribe to, a free newsletter, all about sports cards and collectibles at junkwaxhero.com. Just enter your email address and you're subscribed. Very simple. In my newsletter, I actually also include like my biggest finds or the weirdest finds from my Vermont collection that I bought. And the Vermont collection has been amazing to go through. It's just there's about 100,000 cards in there, is my guess, just a rough estimate. And I've spent 25-ish hours going through it. It's quite handy having things from the Penny Sleever nearby. This video is sponsored by the Penny Sleever, a new supplies company that I really, really love. And the Penny Sleever has the best, in my opinion, semi-rigids and penny sleeves, obviously, and top loaders. Those are the things that I use all the time. They have other things like team bags and various other supplies. You can get 10% off your order at thepennysleever.com using my code JWH. They are better than any other companies, especially the semi-rigids, which I use quite a bit. But if you're buying supplies, make sure you buy them from thepennysleever.com, code JWH. All right, so the King of Collectibles, Ken Goldin. This year they're branching out. I seem to recall last year it being much heavier on sports cards, sports collectibles. It's a lot less of that this year, although it starts with a Hannes Wagner T206 SGC5 from Steve, a character at the beginning who has the most amazing card, one of the most amazing cards ever. So, and Ken wants it desperately. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's so far, the arc ends in episode 2. I don't know if there's going to be more of it, but it's really, really good. It's really interesting. I think that Steve... One thing I'll say is that Netflix obviously has an interest in making Ken look good, but they also show him hustling and failing often. By failing, I mean being told no by potential consigners. And I think that's good. It shows that Ken isn't getting everything he wants, and I think Netflix is good to show that. It makes it more interesting. It makes you not think with every single potential consignment that he's going to get it. You're wondering, is he going to get this one? I really enjoy the show. It is not going to win any... Well, actually, it did win an Emmy for best whatever show. I don't remember what an Emmy... Or is nominated for an Emmy, right? I think. But anyway, it's not like Breaking Bad. It's not... you're not going to sit down, and it's not a deep, deep show. But for 35 minutes, it is entertaining. I am fully convinced that almost every scene is set up. And many of the scenes are completely set up by Netflix for maximum drama. For instance, now I think I talked about this last year when I did the review of the first season. They always have a TV screen showing Goldin auctions, and like the bidding is coming down, the time of an auction is coming down, and it says bid incoming, and then there's kind of this, how much is it going to be? Well, if you know the increments, you already know how much it's going to be. And B, I don't think they have that. That's not real. Why would they have something that says bid incoming? I think that was created by Netflix. That's just my theory. But it adds to the excitement. It is fun, it's entertaining, and that's what you want. That's what I want in a 35-minute, 8-episode show where I can just binge it, just watch. Last year, in season 1, my wife watched a couple of episodes with me, and she had something very negative to say about Ken, and I put that in my review here on YouTube. And Ken reached out to me privately, which he had never done before, and said, "Thanks for your review. I'm sorry I wasn't your wife's style." My wife thought that was hilarious. She watched an episode with me in season 2, still felt the same way about Ken, which is fine. Sorry, Ken, if you're watching this again. His team, I like all the characters. You have to consider them characters in this show, right? I like most of them. I know that Dave Ammerman is not popular. I don't know why. He seems cool in the show. I like Ryan Krupa. I think they call him Kroops. Alex Giamo. I just enjoy the characters in the show. In episode 1, I think it was episode 1, they go to a guy's house. It's the most insane video game collection anybody's ever seen. I was going to say I've ever seen, but really anybody's ever seen. And as they're walking up, they talk about how I wonder if he keeps his stuff here, because it's a very modest house. Now, I believe that they had been in the house by the time they're filming that scene. As they're walking up, it's kind of adding to the drama of it. This guy's house is bonkers. And for me, it maybe was the highlight. Well, the Steve SGC5 Wagner was probably the highlight. But the video game scene, which is somewhat lengthy, it's the right length, was insane. It was amazing. That's what I love. I love collectibles and seeing the video games of my childhood, and he had everything, and I can't describe it. You have to watch at least that episode. It was either 1 or 2. They have a guy who pulled a Wemby first auto, and that's a good story too, but the drama feels forced on that one. It feels like it feels manufactured on that one. And that happens sometimes on this show. Jason Dominguez's first Yankee Stadium home run ball was a cool story. As just a kid, he's a teenager, I think, caught the ball. They have the actual footage of him catching it, and then they bring him into Goldin Auctions. I was going to call it Goldin Studios. And he seemed like a cool kid, and you see how much it sells for. I'm not going to spoil anything, but they talk to these people in a smart way. And actually, Ryan Krupa talks about it later on in episode 5 or 6 about how he plays to people's egos or their financial situations smartly. And there are at least 2 situations where you can hear where the item scouts, or whatever they're called, are telling people about Wembanyama, sell now. You never know if this guy's going to be big. Most of these guys are not as big as you want them to be, and your best time to sell is immediately. I think that's smart. It's a really smart way to deal with somebody who's a teenager and looking for money, is to say sell now, because this kid probably doesn't have a lot of money. If you're wealthy, hold on to the Wembanyama if you're wealthy. But if you're like me, I would sell immediately. Take that money now and hopefully never regret it. Although I say that as I'm kind of regretting my sale of my Caitlin Clark card, autographed card. A lot of interactions with Ken Goldin and his daughter. And last year I said I really enjoy these, and I still do. I think his daughter is cool. She's funny. She's interesting. I think she's a great addition to the show. I don't know if she actually does do any sort of consignment, if she finds items for Ken in reality, or if they set these scenes up for her. Either way, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, it's fun. You got Barry Bonds in. I know Barry Bonds is one of the worst steroid users of all time. A lot of people hate him. The guy has a ton of charisma, and he's fun to watch. He's so smart, and I don't know. Why was he so difficult with the media in the 80s and 90s? Why did he do that to himself? It's such a shame. Steve Aoki I know he's in every single one of these things, whether it's a sports card documentary or the show. Steve Aoki's got to show up everywhere. I don't know anything about Steve Aoki. And then he had Reggie Jackson in episode 6, I think. Reggie brought Ken into his warehouse of collectibles. It's insane. And he's got dozens of vintage cars and all of his career collectibles, jerseys and balls and bats and things like that. It's pretty awesome. And Reggie Jackson also, super smart, funny. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the show. I would say it's like a 7 out of 10 for a show. And if you think about for what it is, it might be a little bit higher, 8 out of 10. Just this kind of bubblegum 8 episodes, 35 minutes each. It's not meant to be deep or intellectual. It's meant to be, and you do learn stuff. I learned things about other collectibles that I've never been into, like an Albert Einstein thing, some Titanic stuff. And the Cleopatra hand, her hand, allegedly, is part of an episode. So I recommend watching it if you're into that kind of thing. I know people have talked about like Storage Wars or whatever. I've never watched any of those other shows, so I don't have anything to compare it to. All right, guys, hope you have a great weekend. I will be back tomorrow with Clearing the Bases.